Hello, welcome to a math lesson all about addition and addition strategies and just how in the world are we going to join two numbers together and get a sum. Don't let the poster overwhelm you because yes, there are lots of different ways that you can add your addends together to make a sum, but the important thing is that you pick the way that works best for you. You might not be great at addition with all of these, but you can find one way that works for you. And we're going to work and work and work and work toward till we can get to this last strategy, which is using mental math to add. That's where you can add those numbers up in your brain, or when you know your math facts, and you can just spit out the sum just like that. But until you can get to mental math, these are all the things that you can use to add. So the first thing is using your fingers. Now, using your fingers, unless you're doing this one too, using your fingers really only works within sums of 10 because you only have 10 fingers, right? So if your sum's going to be bigger than 10, you might not want to use your fingers. So let's say you have like 8 plus 5 and you're going 8 and then, oh, I don't have enough fingers. Maybe I shouldn't use that strategy. But if it's a sum that's less than 10, you can use your fingers. So we did 5 plus 2 as an example. So if I want to do 5 plus 2, I would show 5 and 2 more, and that makes 7. I could do it again with 4 plus 2. I'm going to show 4. And then when I add my 2, I'm going to add this one first. 1, 2. And that gives me 6 because it's a lot easier to see on your fingers the number that you're holding up if one of them already has a 5. If you're doing smaller numbers, that's fine too. 2 plus 2. 1, 2, 4. So that's using your fingers. Now, counting on, you can use your fingers, or you can use drawings, or you can use objects. But in counting on, you're going to put the larger number, the greater number in your brain. You're going to think about that number, and then you're going to count on. Now, this is where using fingers gets a little tricky for some of you because some of you, if I did 7 plus 4, you would go 7, 8. You're not adding that other number. You have to think about it first. So if you're going to think about it, just use your fist to just pop that number in your brain, and then you start counting on with your numbers. So 7 plus 4. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What's the number that I said? I said 11. I'm showing 4 because 4 is the number I added, but I say 11, so 11 is my sum. Let's say I don't want to use my fingers. I want to use markers. So I'm going to put the larger number, the greater number 7 in my brain, and then I need 4 more things to count on. So I'm going to go 7 or 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 7 plus 4 equals 11. So that's counting on. You can also use a 10 frame. If you don't have a 10 frame, that's okay. You can still use objects. When you're using a 10 frame, you're putting things in those spaces. So you can use objects. So I did 4 plus 5. So if I wanted to use objects, I'm going to use markers again, but you can use anything that's small that you can count. 4 in here and 5 here, and then I would just count them all together. If you have 10 frames or want to draw 10 frames, you can put like beans or pieces of cereal or marshmallows, just whatever you have. Just fill it up with the first addend and then add the second addend and then count them all together. You can also use tally marks. Tally marks are pretty easy to draw out on paper. Just remember when you get to that 5th one, you have to make that one diagonal. The 5th tally mark goes diagonally. It crosses that one off and lets you know that that group equals 5. So it's kind of hard to tell that I used 2 colors, but I drew 6 tally marks, so I had 5 and then 1 more for 6. And then I started in that same group with a different color and drew 7. So I drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then when I look at them all, I get 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 6 plus 7 equals 13. That's tally marks. That one can get kind of confusing, especially if you're not paying attention to when it's time to group off those tally marks. But still, if that works for you, do it. Drawing a picture, just like we can use objects still, we can still draw a picture. So if your addition equation is 2 plus 3, draw 2 pictures of one thing and 3 pictures of another thing. Now, when I say pictures, I don't mean a super detailed pictures of your best friend's dog and there's 5 of them in your equation, so you have to draw 5 of them, and then you have to draw 8 of the most elaborate butterfly you've ever seen. No, I mean short, simple pictures. I chose stars and hearts. You can do dots and squares, or you can do dots and dots. They can be the same picture. Just make sure that you're keeping up with how many are in each group, because you have 2 different numbers, 2 different addends. So you draw your 2 pictures, count them all together, you get your sum. You can also use a number line. A number line is something you're either going to have readily available, or you're going to have to draw it every time. So this way can take a while, but if it works for you, do it. So I did 4 plus 3. I drew myself a number line. I started at 4 because that's the first number, and then I did 3 hops. So start at 4, but don't count the 4 in your hops. So I start here, and then I go 1, 2, 3. What number did I land on? 7. Use any of these strategies that work for you until you eventually get to mental math, where you can say, I know that. I know 4 plus 3 is 7, and 13 plus 3 is 16, and 20 plus 6 is 26. You can just, you know your facts. Mental. It's in your brain. You already know it. So practice addition, whatever way works for you. Fingers, counting on, 10 frame objects, tally marks, draw a picture, use a number line. Do whatever works best for you. Now, in the next part of the video, I'm going to do some examples of different strategies, and then I'm also going to show you how to use the same strategies to do 2-digit addition as well. So the first strategy that I'm going to review is using pictures. So I have 7 plus 8 on my screen. So I need 7 of one thing and 8 of another. So I'm going to use some of our shapes. So I'm going to do triangles, and I need 7 of those. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 triangles. Now I need a different shape. I'll just do circles, and I need 8 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I have to go back and I have to count all of my shapes together. Now I can go through and count all of them. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and get a sum of 15. Or I can combine the counting on strategy with this. I already know there's 7 triangles, so I'm just going to start at 7, and I'm going to keep counting my circles. So I would do 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Same sum. Okay, counting on with fingers. Remember, you put the larger number in your brain. You can do it this way. You can just put your hand on your head, whatever way works for you. And then I need to count on 3 more. So I'm going to stop when I'm showing 3, but I'm going to listen to the number that I say. So 9, 10, 11, 12. I said 12. 12 is my sum. And I wanted to do the tally mark one because I feel like it's kind of hard to see on the poster behind me. So I'm going to do it with this one. So I'm going to do 5 plus 9. So I'm going to draw 5 tally marks first. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Now I need to do 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when I count those, I count 2 groups of 5, 5, 10, and then keep going. 11, 12, 13, 14. Now, I am going to give you a little bit of a secret. The counting on strategy is probably going to be the fastest way to add. And I'm not going to say the easiest because it might not be the easiest way for you, but I am going to tell you it's probably going to be the fastest. So if you're having a hard time and you're like, I'm not really sure which strategy works best for me, do the counting on one. Put the number in your brain and count on. Okay, number in your brain, count on. So let's practice one more with that. So like if I did 11, that's a larger number to start with. 11 plus 5. I'm going to put 11 in my brain, and I'm going to count on 5 more. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I stopped there because those are my 5 I needed to add, but I said the number 16. So 11 plus 5 equals 16. Here's the part about adding two-digit numbers. You'll see two different two-digit numbers on your screen, 54 plus 24. Now, we talked about all these different addition strategies, so if I'm going to look at that and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to use a strategy. I'm going to use counting on. I'm going to put 54 in my brain, and I'm going to count on 24. No way. Stop right there. You have a different way of adding two-digit numbers together. So 54 plus 24. Remember place value when we talk about tens and ones? Well, when you're adding two-digit numbers, the tens and the ones have to be lined up vertically. Remember, vertically is going up and down. So, and the writing might be a little sloppy. That's going to be okay. So we're going to do 54. I'm going to write out that number 54. That's my first number. I need to add 24. So I'm going to do a plus sign for adding. And then 24. My tens and my ones have to line up. So there are 5 tens in this number. There are 2 tens in this number. Tens line up. 4 ones in both numbers. All I did was write the number 24 under 54, making sure that my ones and my tens line up. Now, remember our little chant? It's been a while, but we said ones, tens, cha, cha, cha. When you're talking about adding two-digit numbers, you have to start with your ones place. And I'll show you why in a second, but let's start with this problem. So I'm just gonna draw a dotted line here. You don't have to do this part. This is just helping me visualize, okay, my ones are on one side and my tens are on the other. Your ones are on your right because your numbers go tens, ones, but we're gonna add our ones first. So think 4 plus 4. Now is where you think about your strategies, just adding the ones place. I can use counting on for 4 plus 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can use mental math and think 4 plus 4. That's a double. I know 4 plus 4 equals 8. So I'm going to write the 8 under the ones place. 4 plus 4 equals 8. Now I'm going to go over and do the tens. 5 plus 2. I can use an addition strategy here. I can use counting on. 5, 6, 7. 5 plus 2 equals 7. So that means that 54 plus 24 equals 78. Now, why do we have to add our ones first and then our tens? Let's say we have 37 plus 69. Okay, I know it's a two-digit addition problem, so I have to stack my numbers vertically. So I'm going to do 37 plus 69. And let's say we're not going to follow that rule of ones, tens this time. I'm going to add my tens first. So I get 3 plus 6, and that gives me 9. And then 7 plus 9, that gives me 16. So 37 plus 69 has to equal 916, right? No, that doesn't make any sense. Remember, we can't put two digits in a one-digit place. This 16 can't go here because you can't have a two-digit number in the ones place. So you're going to learn all about regrouping and things like that next year. What you have to remember when you're adding two-digit numbers is ones and then tens. You have to add the ones first, and then you go over and you add the tens. There's one more addition thing that we want to talk about in the next part that I forgot about in the beginning, so we'll do that next. Part of addition that we're going to talk about is adding with 3 addends. That's when you're adding 3 numbers together. So I'm going to start with 3 plus 6 plus 2. So there are 3 addends right there. Remember, when we're adding 3 addends together, you got to start by adding 2. We think first, do I see 2 numbers that make a 10? Second, we think, do I see 2 numbers that make a double? And then third, we think, okay, I don't see a 10, I don't see a double. Let's just pick 2 numbers to add first. So 3 plus 6 plus 2. Do you see any of those 2 numbers that when you add them together make a 10? I don't. Do either of those two numbers together make a double? It's where the two addends are the same. I don't see that either. So now we have to think, okay, well, I just need to pick two numbers and add them. I'm just going to go with the first two numbers. So I'm going to circle them to keep up with the numbers that I added. And I'm going to think 3 plus 6. Okay, now I can use an addition strategy. Are you going to draw a picture? Are you going to use tally marks? Are you going to use your fingers? Are you going to count on? Let's just use our fingers this time. I'm going to think 6 plus 3 because 6 is larger. So 6 plus 1, 2, 3. That gives me 9. So 3 plus 6 or 6 plus 3 equals 9. But I cannot forget to add that third number. There are 3 addends here. So now I got to think 9 and 2 more. 9, 10, 11. So 3 plus 6 plus 2 equals 11. Let's try another. Let's do 7 plus 2. Okay, what do we think? Is there a way to make a 10? No. Is there a way to make a double? I see a way to make a double. I see 2 plus 2, and I know my doubles, and I know 2 plus 2 equals 4. Up, but what number can we not forget to add? The 7. 7 plus 4, I can count on. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 7 plus 2 plus 2 equals 11. One more, just for the fun of it. 9 plus 5 plus 1. Okay, what do we think? Do I see a way to make a 10? I do. I see 9 plus 1. I know those ways to make 10 make adding so much easier when you know how to make 10s. So I have 9 plus 1, that's 10. And then 10 plus 5, I know 10 plus 5 equals 15. So that's how you add 3 addends to get a sum.